Welcome back to another video. Today I'm finally talking about Legend of the Galactic Heroes, a 110 episode OVA. As of right now, I've only seen the first season, which was the first, I think, like 25 episodes of it, and there's a lot of hype about this, let me tell you that. Everybody who talks about this only has positive things to say, and this is probably the only time you're gonna hear me say something like this. Believe all the hype. Everything I've heard about it, it's true. It's a really great series. The only negative things that I've ever heard about Legend of the Galactic Heroes were that it's boring, and it is kind of slow-paced because it wants to give you a lot of information, because you are actually watching a story with characterization and plot. If your favorite anime is Sword Art Online, then you're probably gonna find it boring, just saying. I'm so excited to be talking about Legend of the Galactic Heroes right now that I'm gonna break out my secret stash of extra virgin cold press olive oil here and just have a go at that. Smooth. So anyways, getting into the meat of the video here, talking about the story, this is just about Season 1, so there's not going to be any spoilers here, so if you are new to Legend of the Galactic Heroes, this is safe for you to watch. And whenever I get into talking about the later seasons as I watch them, then I'm going to get into spoilers with those, because I assume that anyone who watches Season 3 video has probably already seen Season 3 at that point, but Legend of the Galactic Heroes is set in this galaxy, or basically the solar system, made up of different planets. And on one side you have the Galactic Empire, then on the other side you have your Federations. It kind of reminds me of Star Wars. So this story mostly focuses on two characters. From the Empire side we have Reinhard, and then from the Federation side we have Yang Wen-Li. And I'm sure I'm slaughtering a lot of names here. There's a lot of different types of names here, mostly like German and French sometimes, so really hard to pronounce, and I'm going to be slaughtering a lot of names, so I'm just going to stick to these two characters here. But this is basically a story where neither side is really right or wrong. It's just a lot of people mixed up and doing basically what they feel is right. Now, there are some corrupt people that are doing wrong things and just taking advantage of people for power and money, but they aren't any of the characters that are focused on within the story. Some of the things that make Legend of the Galactic Heroes so great are that there are so many characters, and they're so detailed. You have all of the aspects of their personality fleshed out, such as things they don't like, they do like, things they're good at, they're bad at, their histories, things like that. Everything that you would expect out of characterization, we see it for not only the protagonist, but also all of the side characters. Even if you take a look at the most obscure supporting character, or just obscure character that is only relevant for a few episodes, that character has a more detailed story and personality than some of the most popular anime that have come out in the past 5 years. And it doesn't care about killing off any of them, honestly. You never know when somebody's going to be on a chopping block, but it's always within reason. And there was this one character that I hated. It really built up the rivalry between Reinhard and him throughout the entire first season here, and then he's killed off in a way that makes me feel it was very anticlimactic, but it was a very believable way. He was actually killed by somebody on his own team here. You're not going to know who this guy is because Reinhard makes a lot of enemies in this first season. I'm just saying, but if I worked with that guy, I'd probably want to kill him too, plus he had a terrible haircut. One of the other great things they did is world building, and I really shouldn't even call it that because it's not just one world that they're building, but it's numerous worlds, and I think that they did a great job of giving different cultures to different planets, and each planet has its own history, and we learn a lot about each planet's history, as well as the history of what started the war and the history behind the Empire and everything like that. It's really great seeing it all. There was one time when we had this one area that was inspired by the Roman Empire, so they really do take a lot of influence from history as well when setting up these different cultures. Something else that's greatly attributed to world building that really makes their universe feel alive is that it's not just this constant war like I thought it was going to be, where it's just these two sides duking it out for 110 episodes. It's not that. Sometimes you'll have little outbreaks in their own section because everything on each of their respective sides are so corrupt and everybody has different opinions and guns, so you know what that leads to, different outbreaks of wars and stuff. So there's different civil wars and there's really a lot happening here, so it's not just one side versus the other. Now moving on to the actual battles here, they're so good, but you have to keep in mind that this was from the 80s, so everything is hand-drawn, but there are thousands of warships on screen at once, and there's just lasers and rockets and missiles flying all over the place all the time. And aside from the visual spectacle of this, just the sheer strategy that they have to implement in battle. No two battles are alike here. There's always this time where they'll implement different strategies, and not everything works out as planned, not only because one strategy will counteract another strategy, but just because somebody on their side doesn't want to cooperate. Maybe an admiral doesn't want to do something, or maybe with Yang Wen-li, he is not the commander in this situation. He's basically a lower rank, and he has to take orders from other people at times. At first it's this way, and they're really dumb, and they're not as smart as him. So you have a lot of people that are doing different things, and it's really sometimes it screws up their whole strategy. Like sometimes you'll have people that are like, you know what, I'm just gonna rage quit, and they just off their self in the middle of battle, and their whole warship is like, what do we do now? And somebody else has to take over. So yeah, it's pretty crazy situations in battle. There's a lot happening, and it's not all dependent on the strategy of either sides who has the superior strategy, because there are a lot of things that can go wrong at any moment. Alright, so I've said a lot of positives for Legend of the Galactic Heroes, so it's time to move on to some of the negatives. Oh yeah, before I move on to that, the music, the soundtrack for everything is fucking awesome. It's beautiful. And moving on to the negatives now that I can just focus on this, there really aren't that many, and most of these, I have to admit, are probably going to be negated by the fact that I haven't seen all of the anime yet. But the only real negative that I find here is that Yang doesn't have as detailed of a personality or a life as we see with Reinhard. We see a lot with him. There's pretty much everything. We see his history, we see his friends growing up, we see development with their friends and how they affect his life. And Yang Wen-li, on the other hand, it's not really been that way. He's led a different life, and maybe it's just because I've seen decades of anime where, you know, you have your peace-loving protagonist who's really laid back, and that's basically what Yang Wen-li is. But I'm not going to hold that against the anime at all, because this is only 25, 26 or whatever episodes out of 110. There's a lot more here, and from the history of things. I know some people are going to say, like, Bob, how come you'll hold like half of Food Wars against it, and then you'll give leniency to this? Is because there's actually evidence. They've actually built up a history with me of me expecting to have characters with characterization and development, and actually getting it from these 20-some episodes. So I know for a fact that the people that are writing this are actually competent and will give him characterization in the future, but as of right now, I have to say that he's not nearly as detailed, so the playing field really isn't as balanced as of yet as far as the actual character detail here. That's why mostly everybody that I've talked to prefers Reinhard over Yang, but I didn't really ask any details about why, because I don't want to be spoiled, but I can assume this is the case. It's been an amazing ride for these 20-some episodes. If you're looking to get into Legend of the Galactic Heroes, there are a few movies. You can watch the second movie and then skip the first few episodes and start off at episode 3, because the second movie gives a lot more detail than the first few episodes do. But honestly, it is very optional, because the additional information given really only applies to people who have already seen that season anyways. It's given a lot of information that you probably wouldn't care about if you're new to the anime, and it might make it a bit more slow-paced for you. The first movie, I would not recommend that really at all. It doesn't really add anything to the overall experience, and I have not seen the third movie. So there you have it. Watch the second movie and then start on episode 3, or just start at episode 1 and watch from there. Hopefully you'll go ahead and check it out. And also, one thing I wanted to mention is that this is actually being licensed. I don't know the exact date that it's going to come out, but you're going to see that on my shelf whenever I take the green screen down and make a video that way, and whenever that comes out, because definitely worth buying. So anyways, let me know your thoughts about Legend of the Galactic Heroes in the comment section below. No spoilers, by the way. So yeah, just gonna say that there. Don't give any spoilers for me or anybody else. So just let me know what you thought about it without spoilers. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe, like, and share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.